Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk. Well, y'all see the thumbnail. So let's talk about it. There's a double standard in the United States of America when it comes to protesting. I've noticed this over a period of time as we've watched these protests on TV. We've seen the protesters being attacked by the police. We've seen so many different horrific stories, and we have so many police officers who are still on trial for the brutality that they've committed against people who were protesting peacefully. Now, there's a difference between a protest and a riot. I want people to understand that because in the media right now, what old media is doing is they're intentionally confusing the two words. They will put the word riot on what they want to demonize, and they'll put the word protest on the things that they want to push and perpetuate that narrative. So I would like for us to make a differential between the two. We need to differentiate the two because the wording is what's causing confusion and is causing more turmoil than it is actually helping. And they're not reporting it the correct way on purpose to demonize certain groups of people. But I took it upon myself to just kind of look up and see what was the disparity in police force towards protesters and rioters, because we remember January 6th riots, how there was absolutely no police presence, there was absolutely no law enforcement or any law being enforced on that day. They were totally overtaken. The law was totally ignored by these people, and they went and did what they felt like they had to do. But we see that when it came down to groups like Black Lives Matter or Antifa or any black group that was fighting for the rights of black people that are proven, this is not what we think. This is not a conspiracy theory that we're out here marching and peacefully protesting about. We're protesting because we have hard evidence. We have dead bodies laying in the morgue at the hands of these people to prove what we are out here fighting about. We're not fighting about something that QAnon has said. You've never seen black people out protesting over something that was said. You've always seen us out protesting for the rights that we know that we don't have and that we've been shown time and time again that we do not have. So why then are black groups like BLM? I understand that they have some people within the organization who are not going to be a good representation. That's with any organization. You show me one organization in this world that does not have a bad fruit in it. Show me one, and I'll shut my mouth for the rest of the year. But I doubt you can do that because there's always bad in everything. Wherever good is, evil is always close by. And so you're going to have agents within every group who are there to disrupt and to discredit that group. And they're sent to do that. We have that established as well. And we know that to be a truth. So when you see groups like Antifa or BLM or groups like that out protesting and trying to fight for the rights of people, they're often painted as being aggressive and wanting to hurt people and destroying people's property and things of this nature. But oftentimes that is not even the case. Where are these people at in court? Where are the trial dates? We don't have any news or any reports of BLM people being on trial for murder. We don't have BLM people on trial for destroying things like that, because all of the destruction comes from law enforcement whenever they come to supposedly just govern the situation. We remember many times we go back to Charlottesville where the young man decided to plow his van into a group of people. Why? Because they were protesting against the real terrorist groups. See, you had one group on this side was a group of protesters who saw a need because the terrorist groups were coming in and they were spreading propaganda and things like that. And so they came in to defend. And what happened? Somebody plowed a truck, a van, into a crowd of protesters. They weren't out there fighting anybody. They were out there standing up for what was right. But yet they were good people on both sides, according to the former president. So these are the narratives that are being pushed all the time, and it's very it's misleading. It's intentionally misleading because it's trying to demonize one group and make the other group look good. Not specifically Charlottesville, but in all other accounts of protests. We've seen throughout not just this year, but prior years where protesters have been treated like the scum of the earth. And I've said it before in different videos, but Colin Kaepernick was treated like the scum of the earth because he was protesting people being murdered by police officers when it didn't have to go that far. So I want you to understand that one group is protesting the murder of people and protesting actual events that have taken place, while these other groups are fighting against a narrative that could happen or something that could potentially take place. So they're fighting for conspiracy theories. This is one conspiracy theory that they're fighting for. You have groups like Alpha 6 and 7, you have the Aryan Nation, you have KKK, you have the Order. All of these groups are white nationalist groups. What are white nationalists fighting for? They're fighting for the superiority of whites in the United States because this has always been their place since they came here and took over. So they're not fighting for justice. They're not fighting for someone being harmed and being mistreated and being used. They're fighting for their sense of superiority in this country. And that's what their whole entire battle is about. That is the core of everything that groups like this follow. And this is the reason why they fight and they kill, because they want to preserve their ethnic group. We've never, and when I say we, I'm talking about Black people, we have never, ever protested for that. For we want equality for our ethnic group. We want to stop being killed for no reason at all by those who are in the official positions. This is what we fight for. We fight for being treated like a human being. We don't want preferential treatment over anybody. We just want to be treated like human beings, and we get demonized and we get beat and we sometimes get murdered and called rioters and terrorists because we want to be treated like everybody else. So where is the terror in asking somebody to treat me like a human? You show me that. I'll give you a couple minutes. I'll wait. Okay, I haven't heard anything yet. So where is the terror in telling someone that you're a human being and you should be treated as such? That is a question that we need to ponder, because this is the core of our protests, yet it is never ever addressed. The core of our protests, the reason for our protests, are never addressed. It's always the action around it that overshadows what the real issue is that started the protest in the first place. I was debating with somebody about Kyle Rittenhouse. If you don't remember Kyle Rittenhouse, he was the young kid who went to Kenosha, Wisconsin to supposedly help out in the protest, and he ended up shooting and killing two people because they tried to attack him. And my point was that Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old teenager, should not have even been there because, first of all, it wasn't his neighborhood. He's from a whole different place. He should not have had an assault rifle if he was there to to render aid to people. Why would you need an assault rifle if you're there to help and not hurt? So that does not line up for me. And then he's out there in rubber gloves. So you're wearing rubber gloves to protect your hands. What about the rest of you? What about PPE for your eyes, your mouth? Because blood can get anywhere if anything happens and it's squirting all over the place. So to say that he was wearing gloves to protect his hands or to keep him from contamination is an outright lie. But they will sit, and I've had so many people come on my post about Kyle Rittenhouse and try to make him out to be a hero that it is totally pathetic. And this is what we see all the way across the board. They struggle to call the Proud Boys a terrorist group. They struggle to call all of these little sub militias that are popping up now, they struggle to call them terrorist organizations when that's exactly what they are. Because just like with Donald Trump, they want to keep their constituents happy. And who are their constituents? Those white nationalists. So what's another group? The Weathermen. I said the Order, the Jewish Defense League. Now, the Jewish Defense League was created originally to protect Jewish people from anti-Semitism and attacks in the United States. And then they kind of started doing their own thing and went rogue. And a lot of these groups start from a necessity. They're needed. It's like the Crips and the Bloods. They were started from necessity. They were needed because they protected our neighborhoods when they were first formed. But over time, these groups were tainted, and over time, the mindsets of these groups changed because they realized that as a group and as a whole, they could influence something. They had some type of influence, and it went to their head, and then they became more than what they were supposed to be. They went from being defenders to being offenders. And that's where a lot of them make their mistake. And so in America, we have this thing where BLM and Antifa and things like that will be stepped on and they will be demonized and they'll be dogged out. But on the other side, oh, they're good people. Yeah, they're good people on both sides, but there's no good people in Black Lives Matter. The term in itself is self-explanatory. Black Lives Matter. These are people who care about the lives of Black people. Now, like I said before, I'm going to reiterate this because we always have people who will attack the whole entire movement based on the poor actions of a few people. And so they've fooled us Black people into disregarding our own groups that work for the betterment of us with these insiders, and they'll always focus on the bad ones, the bad seeds. You never hear the feel good stories from these groups, and it's done on purpose with an intent. So let's look at the double standard in the United States when it comes to terrorists and when it comes to protesters, because we have people out here who are risking their lives to fight for the rights of people who can't speak for themselves, and people who don't have the ability to come out and do what these people are doing to make a difference. They haven't threatened nobody's home, they haven't threatened nobody's business, but whenever others come out to clash against them, those counter protesters, that's when things start to get dicey. I remember in Charlottesville, there was a man who pulled out a gun He was a white nationalist, pulled out a gun. You can look up the video if they still have it on YouTube somewhere. He pulled out a gun, cocks it, shoots it into a crowd of black people, and the police was standing right there and did absolutely nothing. Go and look up the video. So it shows you where their mindset is. And I also have to remind you that a lot of those protesters and they weren't even protesters. Let me use the correct term for these people. A lot of the rioters on January 6th were law officials. They were law enforcement agents and officers, and a lot of them are on trial now. But are they really being charged? Are they really going to get consequences for their actions? We don't know. The newspaper and the media can report anything they want, and it's up to you whether you choose to believe it or if you do actual more research and dig deeper to actually see if these people are going on trial, because it's not like America has never told us a lie before. If you feel like the American government has never lied to you before, then, well, I don't even know why you're listening to what I'm saying right now, but that's another story for another time. But that's just to prove that America is not above lying to the nation in order to push a certain idea on the people. This is something that has been done throughout time, and it's been done very well based on the fact that we're so divided and we're so confused as a nation when everything should be very clear cut. We have understanding. We have people that understand. But when you're given so much contrasting and contradicting information, then of course you're going to be confused because you don't know who to believe or what to believe unless you really, really get to the bottom of a thing. And things are only revealed by the Spirit of God. And being that we're in this age of revealing, then a lot of these things are coming out. And so it's going to be harder for them to continue to perpetuate the lies that they perpetuated through the 80s and the 90s and so forth because we have too much information. But like I said before, they're going to saturate the system with so much misinformation mixed with the true information that you're not going to know what to believe. And that's the way they go with it. So I want you to, whenever we're watching these news shows and we're watching these social media shows and they're putting these labels, there's that word again, labels on these groups, I want you to really, really find out about that group for yourself, because there's been so many times where what's my man name, Jordan Klepper, he's the guy from Noah, Trevor Noah's show, and he goes and interviews people and he just exposes how much they do not know and how much they're just running off of rhetoric. And it is totally disgusting to see how ignorant people are, and they're willing to go out and act on ignorance, on total BS that they just believe in their head because it supports their warped views. So be mindful of these people, and these are the people that we have in position of power now. These people are leading things. These people are in positions of power and influencing these uneducated people to go out and do the actual dirty work, and then they'll try to justify it. So I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of the United States when it comes to protesters and when it comes to rioters. Because January 6th, if that group would have been all black, we all know what the outcome would have been for January 6th. Right now, we would be still burying dead bodies. We would still have people on trial, and every single person that was in that riot on January 6th, if they were black, they would have been charged for the murder or of any police officer that lost their life that day. But because it was a group of whites, no one is being charged for the murder of the police officers that lost their life, the woman that lost her life and was shot dead in front of the entire country, but nobody's being held accountable for it. But I guarantee you, if it was a group of black people, every single person that was involved would have been charged with those deaths and sentenced already. Would have been a done deal. So I just wanted to point that out to you. And y'all go and have a blessed day today. It's a Sunday morning. So I want you all to go and pray when you go to church this morning, if you go to church, or if you just praise and worship in your own home, whatever your choice is. I want you to take a moment out to just pray for this situation. Pray for people on both sides. Don't just pray for one side. All right, because both of them need help. The offended need help, and the offender needs help to condition their heart to change their view and their perception of reality that has been warped and convoluted by uh, QAnon ideas and Infowars ideas and things like that. We have to separate the truth from the false, and then act accordingly based on that. So this is your boy D Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.